good people? And welcome back to episode number, what is it, 5067 in Sam's Corona Diaries. Honestly, every time I make a Corona update on my channel, I'm like, that video is going to be the last time I talk about Corona on my channel. And then I come back and make another one. But the only reason I made this update again is you guys have been asking for this update for a long time now. And as the great philosopher Britney Spears once said, now the funny thing is, well, it's actually not funny, but it's a thing. The thing is, I actually filmed this video back in April. That seems like 3 years ago, but actually April was just 3 months ago. I filmed it, I edited it, and I am not even joking, I was busy uploading that video when I swear to all the gods, while I was uploading that video to YouTube, things changed in Korea. And things changed so much that I actually had to delete that video immediately because it just like cancelled out everything that I said in that video. So I decided to just delete it and wait for things to calm down again and stabilize. And I said once that happened, I would refilm that video. Which brings us to today, sometime in July, or is it October? I don't know anymore. And here I am, refilming that Corona update. So let's go back to April when I first filmed this update, this Corona update. At that time, I was saying in that video that Korea was this close, man. We were this close to like completely defeating the virus. Honestly, it looked like the virus was a goner at that time. I think we were down to almost 0 daily confirmed cases at that point. It was unbelievable. Anyway, long story short, but at the end of April there was another outbreak in Seoul. It was not a huge outbreak, relatively speaking, but because Korea at that time did such a great job bringing the number of daily confirmed cases down to like single digits, that new outbreak in Seoul just seemed way bigger than I think it actually was. Obviously it was horrible that we had a new outbreak, but I think it was honestly just more frustrating more than anything, just because we were that close. And since then, cases have been going up. People are calling it the second wave, but I don't know, it's not enough to cause a panic. When that new outbreak in Seoul happened, the government here took such swift action to nip that in the bud before it got out of control. And they did such a good job at that actually since then things have been gradually calming down again. I remember at that time a lot of you actually sent me messages to ask me if I was facing any discrimination at that time. Now here, this is not the time and place to talk about that, but trust me, there will be a time and a place to talk about that. It's just now is not the right time for me to talk about that. You know, it's a pandemic. It will definitely lead to discrimination, which is why I'm wearing my new favorite t-shirt. I hope you like it. I wore it especially for this video, and then I had to sit down and now no one can see it. And I'm not gonna explain that t-shirt, but if you know, you know. For now, I'll keep that a private joke. I'll keep it a private joke for now. But trust me, there'll be a time and a place, guys, when we can go into that. But for now, I'll just say, if you know, you know. But yeah, so as far as the discrimination is concerned, there's always gonna be discrimination. And don't think that Korea is innocent in all of that. That's all I'll say about that for now. Anyway, so let's bring things back to today. Let's look at Korea's stats today. Okay, so I'm using my Corona map. Okay, so today is the 19th of July. Can you believe it's July? We're 7 months into the year and the year basically still hasn't started. What? As of today, Korea is sitting on 13,711 total confirmed cases. Remember, this is total now, since the birth of this virus. Now, of those 13,711 total confirmed cases, 12,519 have recovered. The death count is still sitting at only 294. I shouldn't say only, because, you know, one death is obviously horrible, but, you know, relatively speaking, what I'm trying to say is it's a very low death rate. Korea has a very low death rate, and it's quite remarkable. I spoke about this in my previous video, so I'm not going to go into detail about what the government's done to control the virus here. But honestly, from the start of this virus, the Korean government, what they've done to control the virus, it's honestly just been so efficient, so remarkable, so fast. We can't deny that what the Korean government has done to control the virus, it's really, really impressive. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but back in Feb, when this virus was still new, Korea was the second worst affected, second after China. Things were spiraling out of control in Korea back in Feb. And here we are in July, and you look at some countries and how they're like crumbling with this virus. Like you look at America and you look at the UK. Now, of course, South Africa's 6th on the list of worst affected, so that's lovely. But Korea, after all that time, after spiraling out of control in Feb, they're still sitting on about 13,000 cases and a very low death rate. It's impressive. You know what I mean. They're doing a good job. That's what I mean. Because Korea handled the virus so well, and they brought their number of daily cases right down, they were recently able to reopen schools. Which brings me to another thing that you guys were asking me about, and that is, a lot of you are asking me how the lockdown is going in Korea. This is the thing. There was never ever a lockdown in Korea. Never. From the start of the virus until today, Korea's never been shut down. Korea has always been open for business. The only thing really that they shut down was school. That was the only thing really that they shut down officially. And only when the number of daily confirmed cases dropped drastically, like down to single digits almost. That's the only time when Korea decided to reopen schools again. They thought it would be safe enough to reopen schools. I've noticed that South Africa kind of did the opposite. South Africa like shut down schools at like 400 cases or something, and I was like, well, okay, that's good, that's good. And then I don't know what happened, but South Africa decided to reopen schools again when the cases were in like the tens of thousands, and then I was like, okay. But anyway, South Africa, you do you, boo. Yeah, I don't know, hey? I don't know. Anyway, so we've reopened schools again here in Korea, which is another thing you guys have asked me about. I'm trying to address all the questions that I got regarding Corona in this video, if you haven't noticed already. So we reopened schools again. What they did was they did it gradually in stages. Before Korea opened schools, however, they transitioned to online teaching. Apparently, before Korea had transitioned to online teaching, what the Korean government was doing was they were conducting surveys. I heard this from my co-teacher. They were conducting surveys around the country, and they were checking every family, every household. They were seeing like whether they had enough data. They were checking how many devices there were per home, because obviously, and I actually didn't think about this until my co-teacher told me that, but she was like, you know, some families have multiple kids. Sometimes they have 3 or 4 kids. So what's going to happen when they all need to study, take classes at the same time, and now they've only got one device? That's a problem. So the Korean government was like taking that time to conduct those surveys and make sure that families had data, and they were sponsoring that, obviously, and that kids had access to devices. They were checking whether they had tablets, computers, handphones, not handphones. What's the English? Cell phones! Oh my gosh. On top of that, I don't know if you know this, but I'm not making this up, but Korea has the fastest internet speed in the world. So all of these things, you know, Korea has all of these advantages, you know. It's a lot easier, is what I'm saying, for Korea to just transition to online teaching than a country like South Africa, for example. South Africa just has way more obstacles to face than Korea. So when schools officially reopened in Korea, you know, some grades would come in 1 week while others would stay at home and continue with online teaching. So let's just say, for example, grades 1, 3, and 5 would come in to school, while 2, 4, and 6 would stay at home and continue with online teaching, and then the following week they would swap. And obviously when schools reopened officially, a lot of changes had to be made, needless to say. For example, I don't know if you know this, but in Korea every school has a school cafeteria. Children don't bring their own lunches to school. But now a school cafeteria is a big problem because everyone's eating together. And I don't know if you've ever seen what a cafeteria looks like, but you're sitting like this. You know, everyone's right next to each other, and then on the opposite side facing you, you've got more people just sitting in a line. It's just not, you know, ideal when there's a pandemic. So they had to quickly, very quickly, erect like these barriers at the cafeteria tables. So now it just looks like everyone's just sitting in like these little cubicles. It's very sad to see them just like quietly sitting in their own little cubicles and eating, but at the end of the day, it's obviously much, much safer. Especially, guys, when it comes to elementary schools, primary schools in South Africa. You know what little kids are like. They don't really fully understand what's happening. And they're just like automatically jumping on one another and spitting on one another. They like talk in each other's faces. It's much easier to control this in like middle school and high school, university. But primary school it's just a whole different ball game. It's really, really hard to control this with little kids. It's really, really hard. And yeah, obviously there's hand sanitizer everywhere, outside every classroom, inside every classroom, just this, it's everywhere. Of course you have to wear your mask 24/7. It's yeah, at first it was really, really hard to teach with that mask. Oh my gosh, it was really hard, the breathing. Yeah, and this is the other obstacle with the mask, especially if you're a foreign teacher teaching English to second language speakers. You will know that kids depend on reading your lips, especially in elementary school. They depend on reading your lips a lot to see what you're doing with your mouth when you pronounce words. So the mask, needless to say, is a bit of an obstacle in that situation. So yeah, the mask is proving to be quite difficult, but what can you do, hey? You are absolutely not allowed to teach a class, and of course the same with the learners. You're not allowed to be in the class without your mask on. Absolutely not. Of course now it's summer in Korea, and the heat is disgusting. As you can see, my face is glowing, and you can just imagine what it's like wearing that mask in this heat. And I'm just like really worried when I wear it outside, and I do not want that tan, guys. I don't want a mask tan. That's my biggest fear right now. Getting that mask tan. Obviously teachers have to sanitize everything, you know, everything the kids touch. It just gives me more and more anxiety and heart palpitations. When they leave the classes, you have to sanitize the desks and just sanitize everything. It's just sanitizer. Just that's the scent of 2020. Sanitizer. Oh, of course, when students enter the school, they're only allowed to use one entrance. It's like the main entrance, and then you walk into school and you see like this mass movement of students towards this one entrance, and at that main entrance there's a massive TV there and all of this very scary looking camera equipment and like temperature scanners and whatnot. And it's really, that TV is way too big, hey? Because I'm thinking like, if someone walks through and they've got a temperature, everyone knows, everyone can see that you've got a high temperature. So they're scanning every student before they enter school. Before we start classes, we have to check their temperatures. When we end classes, we have to check their temperatures. Sometimes I'm getting paranoid and I'm checking my own temperature, you know. It's just a crazy time that we're living in. You know, it's just, that's 2020 for you. Just filled with hand sanitizer and paranoia. And of course, now in classes, teamwork is absolutely forbidden. For obvious reasons. You know, at this stage, I think Korea has had so much experience with this virus at this point. They've done so well at handling the virus, and the measures they take to fight the virus are so thorough that honestly, touch wood, but like, I don't think that there will be a time again. I don't want to speak too soon. Again, touch all the wood. Why is there no wood in my apartment? But I feel like Korea from now is like completely on top of the virus. I don't think there will ever be a time again when the virus is on top of Korea. I think Korea will always be on top of the virus. Obviously, there are times when I'm like a little bit paranoid, but you know, that's just me. You know, I'm the type of person who will get a headache and then I think I'm dying of cancer or something. I'm definitely a very paranoid Penelope at times. But other than that, I feel I'm in very safe hands here. I feel like I'm in very safe, very well sanitized hands here. So why is Korea so far ahead in this game? What is the magic about Korea? It's a combination of two things. Number one, the swift action of the government, and number two, very important, the people. That is the difference between a country like South Korea and a country like the USA. That's the biggest difference, the people. In South Korea, you know, when the government tells them to do something, they just listen. They don't protest, they don't fight it, they don't rebel, they just listen. And that is why Korea has never had to like implement an official lockdown, because the government just like recommends don't go outside, and people don't go outside. They just stay at home. People here, I've noticed, are way more considerate of others than people back at home. People in the US definitely, as I can see from videos online. The difference here is the consideration people have for others and just the concern for national safety. National safety is the most important here. So they will do whatever it takes. Speaking for myself, I haven't left my little one-horse town here in 500 years. I don't know. I can't even remember what Seoul and Busan look like, to be honest. I can't remember what a beach feels like. I can't remember what that beachy smell smells like. I've forgotten. And that's not because people have forbidden me from traveling. That's because I'm just nervous to go anywhere. I just take it upon myself to stay at home. So yeah, I haven't traveled in ages. It's fine, you know. There are silver linings. I'm saving money. I'm focusing on hobbies and things that I wanted to get done. It's fine. I've noticed that they've in Korea recently they've also said that you can't get onto public transport without a mask on, and that I feel like those little things they do to like put you off from traveling, because let me tell you something, it works, eh? No thanks, I'll just stay at home, it's fine, thanks. So all of that time in my previous videos when I said that I was staying at home and it was self-isolation and blah blah blah, I wasn't going anywhere, that wasn't a lockdown, that was just me being at home. The first self-quarantine that we had was when I first left South Africa for Korea. I had to self-quarantine just because I was traveling. Then after that, schools officially shut down nationwide, so I had to stay at home. I had to work from home, so I was at home. But there wasn't a lockdown, I was just at home. And now, even though schools are open and whatnot, I'm still not traveling. I'm still staying at home just because I choose to. Oh, here we go. Here we go. The sound of 2020. Oh, man. Oh, the timing of that emergency alert, though. Hey, if you're a foreigner in Korea, you will know. Oh, my gosh. The defining sound of 2020. I probably get emergency alerts on my phone, like, I think about 10 times a day. And it is the most, you heard that sound right, it's the most traumatizing, most jarring, most horrifying sound in the world. I'll hear it 15 times a day, I'll still never get used to it. This is another good thing that Korea does, albeit annoying, but it's good that they stuff these alerts down our throats at least 20 times a day. But that sound though, oh my gosh. I'll be on a WhatsApp call to my parents and that emergency alert will come on and it will cut the call. That thing is so important that it will just cut your call. It will cut whatever you're doing. And I'll read the emergency alert and it's like, please wear a mask. And I'm like, did you have to cut my call for that? Anyway, at the end of the day, it's good. It's good that they're stuffing these alerts down our throats. It's irritating, but I think that's the whole point. They need to stuff it down our throats. And still, in Korea, like, even though things are calming down a lot, we still get a lot of emergency alerts. Just a lot of the time, they're just reminding you to wear your mask and practice social distancing. And they're giving you tips on how to, like, wear your mask in the most efficient way. And other times when there are new cases, they're updating you on those cases, where those people have been. Did you go to those places? If you went to those places where those infected people were, you need to go get tested. Yeah. Annoying, yes, and sometimes terrifying, but they're really helpful and it's just, it's good. That's about it, hey? That's about it for my Corona update. Don't worry. People are always asking me if I'm alive in Korea. Really, don't worry. Life is normal here. I mean, as normal as it can possibly get during a pandemic. But it's pretty normal here. I don't feel threatened at all. I'm just living my normal Corona life. My only issue right now is February. I'm supposed to be coming home in February, but of course, who even knows, hey? Who knows what's gonna happen? It's crazy because in about April, I was like, there is no way this virus is still gonna be around in July. And here we are in July and the virus is still, you know, here. So who knows where we're gonna be. Now looking back, I can't believe that I actually thought that it was gonna disappear in July. I can't believe that I thought we were gonna get a vaccine by July. So who knows? February is coming very soon and I don't know where we're gonna be. I don't know if a vaccine will be found. Right now it's looking very unlikely to me unless something miraculous happens in the next month or so, but it just that's my biggest concern now, whether I'll be able to come home. I don't know. I had so many plans and they, you know, like the rest of you, those plans just flew out the window. So I'm just done with making plans because my plans never go according to plan. So I'm just living my life day by day and that's all I can do right now. Yeah, so whether I come home in Feb, it's just a mystery to me at this point, and quite honestly it just gives me a headache thinking about it now. So I'm not gonna think about it anymore. Honestly, I'm just so tired. I'm so mentally exhausted, like the rest of you. I know everyone is going through this, but I'm just so exhausted and this heat is not helping. I'm honestly just worried about my country, South Africa, and I see that we're now 6th on the list of the worst affected countries. Look, at the end of the day, I understand. I know that South Korea and South Africa are two very different countries with two very different backgrounds and very different circumstances. But at the end of the day, you know, South Korea might have all the money and all the resources to fight this virus. But actually, and I know this because I've been here all this time and I've seen it for myself. I've seen how Korea won this battle, and more than half of the battle was won because of the Korean people. They were considerate, they listened, they didn't like protest and fight with the government, and they just listened to the government's recommendations. They always take others into consideration. Remember that whole episode of panic buying? There was never panic buying in Korea. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, I know you probably don't want to hear this, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the people. And that's something that doesn't cost a thing. So yeah, we can compare the two countries and say that this one has so much money and this one doesn't have any money. So how can this one be expected to fight the virus? Yeah, all those things are factors, but at the end of the day, it's also the people. The government can only do so much, but if the people don't listen, if they all just want to fight and rebel, and you can see for yourself what's happening in the States with people rebelling against wearing the mask, and what's happening. Their numbers are just like spiraling more and more it just blows my mind. So yeah, I understand that South Africa needs to open businesses. I understand that. We need to compromise, and at the end of the day, that comes down to the people. So we need to do it in the safest way possible. We need to be considerate. We need to not be selfish. Korea has shown me that it is completely possible to keep the country open for business and still defeat the virus. That came down to the people. I was listening to that lady on Instagram complaining about, you know, the alcohol. People were getting into drunken fights and then they landed up in hospital and they were just taking up beds which they need for the corona patients. And I was like, that is just dumb. It's just dumb. Like, that doesn't need to happen. And that's where Korea is winning, because in Korea people don't do stupid things like that. I told you, they just stay at home. They just practice safety. They are just so considerate of one another. They're not selfish. They don't you see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it comes down to us. That's what I'm trying to say. If we want to win this battle, it comes down to our attitudes and our cooperation. I've seen how it works here. I've seen Korea's success story, and you know, if South Africa wants to win this battle, I think that they should watch and listen. Like, just take notes of what Korea is doing. Take notes of how Korea's handling things, how the Korean people are going about it. And I feel like there's some important notes to be taken. Because I do believe that we can do this. We can open up for business, but be safe and smart about it. I think it's possible. Korea has shown me that. So it's up to us. At the end of the day, it's up to us. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm gonna leave this now. Seriously, I hope this is the last update. Seriously, guys. Yes. I hope you guys are being safe. And yeah, I will see you soon for a new video not related to Corona. Goodbye.